That's comrades. This is Chief Gardner Republic Radio Show with your co-hosts Mike Duman and Paul Burvid every Saturday noon until 2 on WRMN 1410 AM, the Fox River Valley Media Network, right here out of Elgin, 2,000 watts on 1410 AM. Signal amplitude modulation. And we're streaming on 1410.com, and we also have the WRMN 1410 live YouTube channel. You call us in at 847-931-1410, or you could text us at the magic New Mexico text number, 505-926-1410. We have a guy up in the mountains there. He's constantly looking at the skies, looking for aliens, signs of not illegal aliens, but space aliens. And he'll let us know first. We'll be the first to know because we got that guy out in New Mexico. He takes the text and he sends them to us. It's not really true, but it sounded good. It sounded like a good story, actually. I'd probably write that next novel. All right, you can hit us up in the comments on the YouTube live channel. Hey, Paul, how you doing?
Good, Mike. Good. Hey, listen, I want to commemorate something today, and it's kind of important.
It is.
It goes back 190 years, and this is the 13-day siege at the Alamo, February 23rd, 1836 to March the 6th, 1836, where 179 loyal Texans fought off the imposing Mexican army of General Santa Anna. And it was a defeat, but remember, in that defeat, there was victory because eventually Texas won its independence, became an independent country, and is now one of the largest states in the United States. So we wanted to say, remember the Alamo.
Thank you, Paul. Remember the Alamo. That's good. And also, 46 years ago, the 46 or 48, 46, because it's 2026. I thought the Olympics won every 4 years. Something must have happened. But so 46 years ago, the United States defeated, I don't know if it's to the day, but defeated the Russians in hockey. The Miracle on Ice, all right? Miracle on Ice.
Yeah.
1980. And tomorrow morning, early, all right, I think around 6 o'clock, you can look it up, 6 o'clock in the morning. I know Peacock's going to be streaming it live. All right, there's a plug for Peacock, right? You can probably find other places to watch it, but we're going to be playing another communist country, Canada. So we defeated the communists in 80, and I have high belief we're going to stomp them again. We already stomped them in the female hockey, which was impressive. I couldn't even tell. I'm looking at it. I thought the male hockey had already played, and I'm looking, I'm like, man, those guys are pretty clean shaven, and why do they got these ponytails? And then I realized it was the female hockey. And yeah, you only had to watch like the last 10 minutes of that game. They had the last minute where the girls scored, the tying goal, and then they went into overtime.
USA.
Go USA. It was beautiful. Watch it on YouTube. Watch the overtime on YouTube. It's awesome. All right. So,
hey Mike.
Yes.
I wanted to cover some breaking news today that I just found out, and I got confirmed. Okay.
Okay.
So, I'm a big train guy. Okay.
All right.
And some of our listeners actually, I think, own train stores and stuff like that. So the latest news today is that Lionel Corporation got a merger. They've been sold to a company that's called Round 2, and it's going to be called Lionel Brands. Okay. And Lionel had these places have die-cast agreements with NASCAR and things like that. So this is a big deal here, and I just want to tell a little story, a factual story, and it kind of might segue into what we're going to talk about later. Okay, when I was big into trains, and in 1973 and 74, the day after Christmas, I'd go to Kresge's at Scottsdale, and they'd have train sets for $12. I'm talking about the whole set. The train, the cars, the track, and the transformer. $12. Okay,
that was a lot of money back then.
Well, $12. Okay, and I bought a train set in '73 and '74, which I still have the same set, but not, I sold that long time ago. But I bought the same set again. And in 1976, I bought my first car, brand new, Dodge Dart Custom. Had a vinyl roof, had the rear defroster, which was like a little thing with, flip switch. And the add-on air conditioner from the factory came like that, okay? Paid $2,300 for it brand new. It was a 75. Bought it brand new for my 16th birthday. I had some money and everything. So I owned a brand new car. $2,300, okay? The 2025, 2026 Lionel catalog. You know what the average price of the engines are? $1,200 to $5,000. Now, I've said this before. I know there's adjustments for inflation and everything, but when you think about it, a train engine now costing as much as a car did years ago, that's kind of like way out of proportion. So what I'm saying is, I hope that this merger, because this round two owns a lot of, they're bringing back the model kit area, like AMT.
I'll tell you, my buddy, Bob, he's been on the show a couple times. He's a big model guy, right? And he'll be happy to hear about that because, he puts together models and then he gives them away because he doesn't have a place to store them. But it's something he enjoys doing. So I'll let him know about that.
We're hoping that this purchase by round two and this Lionel Brands is going to bring the hobby back. Instead of paying $5,000-$6,000 for an engine, $400 for a train car, $100 for a box car. We're hoping it brings it down into realism. And I think a lot of this could be motivated by Menards, because a lot of people don't know. Menards has become really big in the model train world. They're selling whole sets for $200, cars for $24, and we hope that this brings back some energy and vitality to the model train world.
Okay, here's a little plug for Menards here. When I take Irving Park Road all the way down here, and one of the places I stop is at the Menards in Hanover Park. All right, and it's nice. It's kind of early in the morning, so it's not really crowded and everything. And I get the heebie-jeebies if I go into crowded stores, crowded anything. I'm just like, because my former job always had my head on a swivel and everything. So maybe it's the paranoia or whatever. Or maybe I was always that way. But yeah, they have a train aisle there, and I'm looking for a particular box car, but they don't have it. It's on display. It's on one of the tracks displaying. It's not in the box. But I think next week, now that you mentioned it, before the prices shoot up, maybe they'll shoot up just because of this show. If they do, then I'm going to go shake down Menards to be a sponsor. But yeah, I'm going to tell them. I says I want to buy that. If you still have the box, it's cool. If you don't, I'm going to buy that car. All right.
Yeah, I got the one you gave me right here. So. I love Menards products. Their couplers aren't the best, but there's ways around that. But Menards has been a definite influence in the industry, and we're just hoping that Lionel survives because, this is the 126th anniversary of Lionel, and it started out as an accident. It was a display. An animated display company from a guy that made a little electric motors around the turn of the 1900s, and it kind of became its own offshoot. So we're hoping that it continues on, and it's a fantastic toy company, and it's a fantastic toy maker, and a lot of people have memories of it. Even a lot of girls, played with the train sets, and their fathers had them, and their brothers had them, and they even made a girls set. So we're hoping that this creates a renewal in the industry, and it gets a lot more people involved. Because there's nothing about learning about engineering, electricity, and physics.
It gets zapped by the transformer. That's fun.
Yeah.
So when I was a kid, my dad had in the boxes. He never brought them out, but they were like in our in our attic. And I used to get up there once in a while, and I would pull it all out, and I would set it up. I wasn't supposed to because I was too young, but I was very inquisitive. And then, because he had 5 kids and he's only making the police officer salary and everything, he sold them off. We had never set it up. He sold it off to another police officer that was like collector. These were the old, big, heavy steel tracks, the big, huge transformers and everything. The stuff you would see at the museum. Yeah. So yeah, they and one thing is, all right. So what was the brand that bought up Lionel?
Well, it's called Round 2.
Yeah, no one's heard about that. No one's heard of that unless you're really niche market. But everyone's heard of Lionel. So to change the brand, sometimes they go in there and they just buy the brand. Right? They're buying the brand name for recognition, like PBR did. When I was a kid, drinking at 16, PBR was like the cheap stuff, right? But it disappeared. Like Schlitz, it disappeared. And then these microbreweries said, hey, we don't got a lot of name recognition, but if we buy some of these retro, just the name, right? Just buy the retro name, not the recipe, and put that on our beer, we got instant name recognition. So it seems pretty logical to me that they would keep the Lionel rather than their original. Case in point with me, all right? So I have had my webpage. I still have that webpage, Flying Monkey 5 November. It's in my books, Flying Monkey 5 November. Really long. And the number 5, not the word F-I-V-E, but Flying Monkey 5 November. Now, Matt's going to look it up, but something else is going to come up. And I was messing around, adjusting web pages because I also got the domain name scilink.net because I wanted to do some subdomains, and Flying Monkey 5 November is just pretty long to type in if you're typing in everything. So, you got to refresh, man. Are you at Scilink or Flying Monkey?
It says scilink.net at the top.
Yeah, it's scilink.net. All right. So, but if you go to Flying Monkey 5 November, it's a redirect. Now, I know you could do it. I've done the pages redirect before, but somehow it really wasn't working. So rather than get in there and, what do you call sledgehammer my way through, all I did was put a page up there, and if you click anywhere on that page, right, it takes you to scilink.net.
Okay.
So I think scilink.net, I can't believe that domain name wasn't taken. It's so cool, So cool. It's like a sci-fi thing, Scilink, .net, the network for it. The robot's taking over. No one had that. I got it. I'm going to keep it forever. So I duplicated Flying Monkey 5 November and put it on there. But rather than update 2 of the same web pages, I'm only going to update 1 now. So yeah, so sometimes you could change your branding a bit to get national recognition, and that's a good thing. And if it brings modeling down to like making the models, the die cast, and the trains down to like reasonable prices. What a big thing was, but it was a different. I've got pictures when I was in Germany, Paul, when I was in Stuttgart around there, and they would have their flea markets every weekend. There'd be flea market out there, and there were multiple tables set up with model trains, but about half the size. I don't know what double O.
They're like Z scale, they call that.
Yeah, but tons of them. Like not just one table, like 10 tables in the same area.
Martin Z scale trains. They even have a smaller one that fits in a little briefcase with a whole layout.
Yeah. So yeah, it's still kind of popular, but making the models with kids with cars. All right, so we're on a tangent right now, but I think it's a good tangent because it's happier news. It's not like kids. They say that with AI, all right, we've talked a lot about AI. It's going to put coders out of business. It's going to put a lot of people out of business that rely on coding, that rely on computer designs, computer art, artistic work, and stuff like that. Even these CGI movies and everything, it's going to put those all out of business because the AI is going to do it quicker than anything, right? They say we got to get back into the hands-on stuff. We got to get back into knowing how to be a mechanic, knowing electricity, like the transformers on that train, knowing how electricity works, how the transformers work. All right.
Cleveland Dennis just commented on that.
Yeah. Guys going to know how to run electricity through a house. You know, AI cannot pull a gigabyte network cable, a Cat 8 cable through a house. All right. You could have your Wi-Fi out there, but Wi-Fi is not secure. I don't care what encryption you put on any of that. That freaked me out in the Army. All right. It freaked me out. I was like, this is dumb. This is stupid, right? Instead of having the hardwire connections for our computers, even the government issue computers, to do workstations, you know, you hooked into the network, they decided that they were going to go Wi-Fi. Oh, but it'd be secure, encrypted. I'm like, nothing's secure and encrypted. Ask the Germans about the Enigma code. Ask the Japanese about their codes, right? Nothing is that secure or encrypted over Wi-Fi. Now, if you have a closed system with wires, hey, right? AI can't run those wires. It could tell you where to run them. It could tell you how and how many feet you want and everything else. But someone's going to have to drill a hole in the wall, pull those cables through, hook it up, make sure it works on the right and left end, plug it in, make sure it's all hooked, everything's hooked up there. Once it gets hooked up, maybe AI can figure it out. But doing the handwork, you know, the handwork, doing the, yeah, pulling out a circuit board and putting a new circuit board in a computer. And maybe you get a robot to do that, but who's going to build a multi-million-dollar robot to change a few circuit boards? So yeah, and if these models get kids interested in building cars or being a mechanic, hot rodding, working on trains, working on the logistics stuff, interested, if you build a model train, you want to know why that train, what and everything, and you're going to learn about the logistics of it all, which is good because we're a logistics country. That's how we win wars, is through logistics. We watched in another YouTube video. Plug for YouTube. Shake them down, right? Give us some more people. Direct some people to our channel, our YouTube channel, Chief Guard of the Republic. All right? The Chief Guard of the Republic YouTube channel's out there. All right, so I'm watching about General Grant in the Civil War. And they said the one thing he was really big on, you know, was logistics. Always made sure he had logistics in place. Always, you know, the supplies, you know, the food, everything he needed to fight was always coming in. You know, he could always, he would never run out of something. All right, so, yeah, so I'm glad to hear that, Paul. I'm glad to hear something. If it's a U.S. company, you know, they have 3D printing now. We still have some, what do they call it? Plastic, jet molded plastic, injector molded plastic.
Plastic injection.
Yeah, but it costs you money to make that tooling, and then that's why you got 10 cents of plastic for $20, $30.
Right.
Because the tooling and the packaging and everything. But, all right, so I think originally I wanted to talk about the United States and the United Nations and, you know, the boondoggle of all that, because it really hasn't served us as well as it has the Euro trash that are inside of it. But the main thing that came out this week was the tariff thing, right, Paul?
Which is the name of the case. I don't know if anybody knows, and it kind of ties in with the start of our show, is, and then you always wonder about this stuff. The name of the case was Learning Resources Inc. versus Trump. You know what Learning Resources Inc. is?
It's probably a coloring book company.
It's a toy company.
It's a what?
A toy company.
Okay, toys, and they're made in China, I'm sure.
Or something like that.
Educational toys. Yes.
Right. Yep.
So you ever heard a thing called victim shopping, Paul?
Yes.
Yeah, it's a big tort lawyer thing. You know?
Yep.
Something comes up big and they're like, oh, who's going to be the victim of this? Let's find the 1 in a billion people that's going to be the victim of it and sue. It's all money. Oh, but it's for democracy, right? It's for democracy. All right. And so, Paul, and this is going to kick in a little bit, but we got like 3 minutes to the hard break, right? So I'm going to ask a couple questions here. They're really difficult questions, Paul.
Okay.
All right. So in a democracy, what percentage of the vote wins?
50 plus 1%.
Wow, really? Okay. That's nice. That's nice to know. We know that 50 plus 1% wins in a democracy. And who is responsible for national security in the not party system, but
the executive branch
system, the executive branch, right? Now, who is responsible in the 3 branches system for initiating and and passing laws?
The legislative.
And who's responsible for approving those laws? The executive branch.
Yeah, right.
Unless there's always an override, right? Because we're a democracy. We don't want the tyranny of one. We don't want Librum veto, right? That destroyed Poland. All right, if you go back in history on that one, all right, they could always override with a 2/3 vote majority and override a presidential veto. So they're still in control of that. If they really want to pass it, they can pass it, right? Now, who's responsible for saying that these laws are in line with the other laws that have been passed in the past and in line strictly with the Constitution? Whether the Constitution...
That would be the Article 3 branch, the courts.
The courts, yeah. All right. So we're seeing this a little play out, but it's to me, it's a little confusing because now we're seeing where the judicial branch suddenly wants to decide what national security is. All right, we'll see you back in a few minutes in the Chief Guard of the Republic show. Fixed Bayonets, comrades, we're back for the second quarter of the Chief Guard of the Republic show with your co-hosts Paul Burvitt and Mike Tooman here on 14 WRMN, 1410 AM. That's 1410 on the dial if you're anywhere near Elgin, so the 1400 watts of amplitude modulation could get out. Amplitude modulation's nice because it's not line of sight like frequency modulation is. Yeah, I was in electronic warfare for a while too. It's just pretty good. And everyone knows Darth Microphone, who's here on the show. So Paul, okay, so we had a caller.
Doesn't amplitude modulation bounce off of the stratosphere?
Yes, it can bounce off of the stratosphere.
Yeah.
In enough with enough power.
Yeah.
It could also bounce around buildings and stuff. Sometimes. Yeah. The big powerhouses, I don't want to give them a plug, but the big powerhouses of the AM frequencies in Chicago can push out 500,000 watts. The
big one you're talking about, did you know that its antenna is used for radio direction finders on airplanes?
Sure.
That it takes you right to it and then you switch from there. Did you know that?
I didn't know, but it's not beyond the imagination.
It's got a antenna and transmitter out by I-80 and LaGrange. So airplanes turn that frequency on for their direction finder, and then it takes them right into the Chicago area.
Oh, okay. Well, I thought they had one on top of the Sears Tower too.
I know the one on LaGrange is the one that a lot of the planes use.
Yeah, some of them, the big, and we could get that's maybe the planes, but we used to get the big one down in Texas, no problem. At night,
Yeah.
So they only boost it up at night. After 10 o'clock, they're allowed to boost it up. And the reason they have the authority with all that is like all the other cities, in case everything goes sideways, right? They will, the National Emergency Broadcast System will tell them,
Right.
boost it up to 500,000. And then anyone with the AM radio, hopefully, or anyone with you still got a tube AM radio?
No.
I do. So as long as I got electricity, put an inverter on that 12-volt battery, I'll have then the 12-volt car battery that's constantly being charged and trickle charged in the garage there in case I got to jump start something. Put the inverter on that and then hook up my tube radio. I'll still be able to receive AM even after the electromagnetic pulse until the battery runs out.
I do have a couple of AM radios that you work on a dynamo, so I don't need electricity to hear them.
Yeah, but are they?
Well, they're transistor. You're right.
Yeah, those all get magnetized. But crystal radios are good. You'll be able to pick it up on a crystal radio. You can make one. You can make one.
I bought a kit. Actually.
All you need is
like a tube. A
toilet paper tube and some copper wire.
A razor and a little thing. Yeah, exactly.
All right, so
we may be going back to that one day, Mike. Who knows?
Okay, the caller's back.
Right.
Who we have on?
Yeah, hi guys.
Hey, Larry, how you doing?
Good, great topics today. All right. When I was growing up, I used to go to Heathkit for. You want a crystal radios?
Oh my God, yeah, Heathkit, and there was Heathkit and Radio Shack.
Yeah.
Heathkit was the higher end, the geekier end of Radio Shack.
It was, yeah, it was. They're all gone. I think they're all gone, but they were good innovators. But you guys are doing great today, and I love hearing from you guys today. So keep up the good work.
Thanks, Larry.
Thanks, Larry.
All right, so
thanks, guys.
What's recent? All right, there's different types of warfare, right? There's kinetic war, right? By kinetic war, they mean like shooting at each other, blowing up ships, killing each other, right? There's unconventional kinetic war. You're still blowing each other up, right? So unconventional is what the Taliban was fighting against us and what we try to fight and everything. And there's force on force, which we used to call high intensity conflict, HIC. All right, force on force like is happening in the Ukraine right now. All right, force on force of us against the Russians. Then there's psychological warfare, which happens all the time with advertising, is a form of psychological warfare on you. They want to strip you of your money. So they advertise to get your money away. And then there is economic warfare. All right? Economic warfare. And economic warfare is part of all these other warfares. You cannot do this stuff without economic warfare. It's also probably the most efficient way to carry out aggressive action against an adversary is through economic warfare, if you're capable of doing it. All right? So what's the easiest way to win a fight, Paul?
Starve your opponent to death, or else make sure that he doesn't have the ability to respond to you.
And what's the easiest way to make him not respond?
To make sure that he doesn't have supplies or.
Well, you're thinking on a big level. You're going to go and you're going to go into a play lot fight, an after school recess or during school recess. You play lot fight with the kid. And you want to make sure this kid isn't going to win the fight. And so let me get right to it, right? If you pay the kid not to fight you, to keep his arms down at the side, and you just pummel on him and he falls down, who won the fight? Well, you did. You win the fight, right? You win the fight.
So
Now
you're paying them to take a dive.
take a dive in a way, or not really take a dive, but stand up until he falls down. He didn't take a dive. You beat him to death. He just didn't fight back, right? So this is, I'm getting a little excited, a little angry here because it makes perfect sense to me, but I try to be all there, all right? So China has been waging economic warfare against us for a very long time. Other countries have been doing it also. All right? It's called unfair trade practices. I explained it with steel. What did the Supreme Court not count as not disallow? Tariffs on steel and aluminum. Even they're smart enough to realize that that is massively national defense, right? So in retaliation for this economic warfare being carried out against us by China, which is called unfair trade practices, all right, Trump put in tariffs. So that's like a national defense thing, right? So now all of a sudden, you got people telling Trump, wait a second, you can't fight this. You can't fight against their economic warfare against us. Well, why can't I? Well, because we say you can't. Well, why do you say we can't? We can't tell you that. We'll go to prison. So in a free country, it's easy to find people that'll take the payoff, that'll be influenced by money, right? In a totalitarian controlled government, it's not so easy. All right. So we can't really go in there and bribe Chinese government officials, quasi-elected officials, to do what is not in the best interest of China. But somehow China can do that here. If you don't believe that's happening, okay, whatever. You can believe that all you want. If you don't believe China uses as economic money, if they're willing to take a massive loss on steel in the United States, a massive loss, a complete loss on steel in the United States, don't you think they're willing to spend money that they're actually getting from us to bribe our own people? Okay, so China buys our debt. Quote, they buy our debt. Can they afford to buy our debt? No, they're in debt too. Everyone's in debt. Everyone's in debt, right? But they buy our debt. They invest in our debt. Then we pay them interest on that debt. Then they use that interest to conduct their economic warfare against us. I'm using China as an example. There are other countries that do it. There are countries that are supposed to be friendly to us, north of us, right, that do the same thing. So now, we asked who determines who's responsible for national defense, national security. We said that's the executive branch, the president. So the president says this is a national defense, national security issue. All right, they are draining us of our treasure. The treasury is being drained on account of their unfair trade practices. So to ensure national security, national defense, I'm going to put tariffs on them. And whatever items, it could be toys, right? Still, this is taking money out, right? It's taking treasure away from us. So the president has the authority to say what is a national threat. Now, all right, so now we have the Supreme Court saying that's not a national threat. That's not within their authority. Is it, Paul?
Well, I'm going to answer this in a convoluted answer, but
okay.
it's going to give you what we had a law in Illinois called the forfeiture law, and of all things, a lot of Republicans were against the forfeiture law. That would be where people's cars would be seized and stuff like that if a certain contraband were found in front of it. A lot of big Republican-oriented law firms were against that. And they said, that's unfair to the holder. And the Illinois Supreme Court, when they determined whether you could forfeit something, they would use the phrase, the totality of the circumstances. So whenever the state's attorney would write a brief, they would always, it was always, it's like magic, if you get my words. It's the totality of the circumstances, in quote, unquote, okay? So what happened here is the same thing happened in this case that we're talking about, the tariff case. Only they didn't use the totality of the circumstances, okay? They use two other phrases, and I want you to remember them because they're very important on this issue, okay? The first one and foremost is that it's called the major questions doctrine, okay? And then the second one is clear congressional authorization, okay? So, and this is like about 170-page opinion, okay? And when you're thinking about it, think about the Illinois rationale of totality of the circumstances. So the problem is 6 of the justices do it this way. 3 of them for sure said that there was this major questions doctrine, okay? And they won't get involved in something. And what they determined was the major questions had never been dealt with internationally. So they weren't going to even get into that. And then the other one was clear congressional authorization. So the major questions and the clear congressional authorization were the reasons why Robert, Gorsuch, and Barrett ruled the way they did. That's 3 of the 5. Now, Kagan, she said that she didn't even have to look at that. So she's one of them that didn't care one way or another. She was going to vote against it anyway. And Jackson relied on the legislative history. And Gorsuch explicitly cautioned against this. Okay. Now, so what we have here is they were saying that because this law is like 50 years old.
Yes.
But it's new. It's new. It's never
been used.
Really
okay. Here's you're right. It's been used in a way, all right, so because the law is 50 years old, right? They've had a lot of time to do this, but now it's being used in a way that some people don't like. Right. People that have been paid to keep their arms down at their side.
But what I don't like, okay, and this to me is in some ways analogous to the Obamacare decision, okay, because the Obamacare decision was told by everyone that it was insurance when it was a tax. Everybody knew it was a tax, but it was argued as insurance. And then I believe it was the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court then said, I'm not even going to go to that argument. It's a tax and we're letting it go through because they have the right to tax, okay? But in this, and the president mentioned this yesterday, okay? This is billions and billions of dollars that nobody knows if it has to be paid back. So my issue is, and my problem with this is, that the Supreme Court didn't do its job.
Nope.
It didn't do its job as the Article 3 branch. It left the country flat because there's a question now, and the president is right. Do we have to pay this money back? And if we do, it'll be 5, 10, 15, 20 years by the time these cases all go through. And there should have been something in there. It should have either been retroactively applied. It should have either been progressively applied, meaning proceeding forward, or it should have said that we're not holding the past, but anything in the future has to be escrowed or something like that. And the court created its own problem now. It created the same problem that they created with Obamacare, because now everybody's talking about whether he could do it, whether he can't do it, and clearly Congress needs to act on tariffs.
Oh, really? Congress, the laziest people in the world. Yeah.
Right. But did they delegate their power? Sometimes. Did they do it here? Now we know they didn't. But what we don't know is they've now actually stepped into the second branch. They've stepped into the
legislation by
the legislature now.
Yeah, the judicial court.
So they've let us down in two ways. They haven't provided us with what should be happening, and they haven't provided, and they've stepped into another branch. And the problem is, the majority is 6, but there's only 3 of the majority that agree. So there's 3 different rationales there, and who knows what will be there by the time we figure out if we have to pay these billions back.
Well, it's going to require another case to go forward.
Well, which will be years again.
Yes.
And I guess Gorsuch, his says that all this even though he's in that group, he said that this created a mess. And that's what they did. They didn't do their job. They messed up, whether you agree with them or not agree with them, but they didn't do their job.
All right, we got a call on.
Okay.
Yeah, who do we have online with us?
Cleveland Dennis.
Hey, Dennis, what's up?
Hi, Dennis.
When Mike is explaining that, I'm seeing a hopscotch. My granddaughter puts it on the sidewalk out front, and then you jump around, okay, with all the branches of government that he's mentioning. But I love what he has to say, because you know what? That's what it is. It's a tax.
Well,
Old Trumpito's going to just pass it on as a tax. I get so many emails now from customers wanting to know when they can get a refund.
Yeah, okay, so
anything.
So here's the thing, right, Dennis?
Yeah.
All right?
Yeah.
So they got this one toy company to sue because, they had to take they charged their customer. They had to pass on the thing to the customers. Now here's the thing.
Mm-hmm.
They no longer, I'd say, as soon as they passed on the cost to the customers, they no longer have standing. All right? They no longer have standing. They passed on the cost to customers, but they're going to say, well, we lost business because of it. Now, what I'm going to say, if I'm having to pay the so-called money back, I'm going to prove it. First thing I'm going to say is prove it. Prove all the loss you took. Once I get the proof of the loss, I'll go, okay, sue us. All right?
Yeah.
Sue us. All right? Sue us. And if you win in a court of law, all right, then we'll pay you the money back. But to have everyone come forward and say, well, I just bought this Chinese electric car, and it cost me so much more money because of the tariffs, and now I want my money back. If you have everyone in the country, I just bought a Chinese computer, a Chinese television set. I want my money. I want the 100% tariff back. But you know what? That's not going to be exactly true, right? Is because I guarantee you these businessmen, just like when you raise property taxes on a rental property, guess what? The rent's going up, right? The guy that owns the property is going to say, oh, darn, now I'm not making as much money, and I have to give my non-leased customers, I have to keep them at the same price. Hey, oh, well, that doesn't happen. They raise the prices on them to cover the additional tax. So you show me where a U.S., right, where the U.S. company who sued on this, right, they're the ones with the standing. Not, they went there, but as soon as they said they passed it on, now they don't have stand. Okay, my car gets stolen, right? The insurance company pays me out for that car, right? And now the car gets recovered. Who owns the car?
The insurance company.
The insurance company. I have no standing anymore, right?
Right.
I pass on the cost to my customers. Who has standing on this? The customers, not me. I didn't suffer a loss. So, hey, these companies, it's called victim shopping. All right? Sometimes they create victim shopping for their activist thing. All right, so this came in, and maybe the decision needed to be made. Maybe it needed to go to the Supreme Court to get some clarity on this, right? But they victim shopped. They brought it up. Supreme Court's stuck here. What are we going to say? Is this absolutely legit? Maybe, maybe not. But they should have said, prove you have standing. But the other thing here is now this sends a message, right? Okay, we need more. And the Supreme Court says they need more clarity on this. All right, where's Congress? Write a law.
Nowhere.
Write a law. Pass it through, right? You can pass it through, right? Then pass it, go to the Senate. Oh, no, the filibuster. Again, the lazy thing. We talked about this last year. Oh, yeah.
Right.
What is it? The chair, whoever's got Mr. Chair, I vote that this be a non-debatable, I propose that this be a non-debatable issue. And the chair goes, no. And they go, I motion to have to overrule, right? I motion for an appeal to the floor. Then the floor votes 51% that it's a non-negotiable, that it's not debatable item, and then you have a floor vote. 51, you win. All right, we'll be back for the second half after our sponsors.
Thank you.
Thanks, Dennis.
Thank you. Bye, Bill.
Bayonets, comrades. This is Chief Guard of the Republic radio show with your co-hosts Mike Tuman and Paul Burvitt every Saturday, noon until 2. We're in the second half of the hour, 1 until 2. Second half of the show, beginning of the hour, the 1 to 2 o'clock hour. All right. I want to read this disclaimer because I figured it out, Paul. I went to thesaurus.com and I fixed it. So I want to make sure the data on this show is for informational purposes. If you really, before I used to say the information on this show is for informational purposes, which I always laughed at that because that's me. That's my writing style. So the data on this show is for informational purposes and should not be construed as legal advice on any subject matter. The views put forward on this show are the opinions of the hosts, Michael Tuman, Paul Burvin, and their guest callers, and not necessarily those of WRMN 1410 AM. Yay. All right, so let me put out while I'm reading that, let me put out my plug for the Dunkin' Donuts Veterans every Tuesday, 9 o'clock to whenever at 7039 West Dempster in Niles. If you're a veteran, come on out, join us, buy yourself a cup of coffee and a donut, come on in. You don't have to do any of that. Sometimes they have donuts, some guys buy dozens of donuts and just give them away. But it's a good place to get a lot of information on veterans events and things that are happening. So, okay, so Paul, Here's where I have clarity on this, all right? The president is national security, all right? He determines what's national security and what's not, all right? When it said national security, national defense issues for the tariffs, all right? He's the only one that does that. So he determines it, not the courts, not Congress, because Congress opened it up. What the court said is Congress's language was too vague. Wait a second then. All right, so if that's too vague, how about all the tariffs under all the previous presidents, especially Jimmy Carter? Are they going to go and make decisions on that now? Are they going to go and investigate each and every tariff put on under this act and say whether it was appropriate or not? Because if they ruled the law was unconstitutional, it was unconstitutional then. It didn't just suddenly become unconstitutional. Paul, does a law, unless you pass an amendment to the Constitution, does a law that was constitutional today suddenly become unconstitutional tomorrow without an amendment being put in? Supreme Court says the law is constitutional. Well, yes, it could. It could if you get a new Supreme Court and you get a new case comes in.
Well, right.
Yeah. But what I'm saying is that now that they've ruled it unconstitutional, right? Now that they ruled against it, there were other presidents that used that same law.
Well, you're getting to the point of my concern is whether the decision is retroactive.
Did they say it was?
They left that silent.
Oh.
But it could be retroactive. It could be prospective only, or it might not be retroactive.
Okay, who signed this law into law?
It was like 50 years ago.
Jimmy Carter.
There was a predecessor law.
Jimmy Carter. All right. All right, so he was going through some economic issues back then.
Right.
All right. So, okay, it was fine for him suddenly. But this is what gets me, right? Is these are these laws. And suddenly now someone is using them in a way that they didn't foresee. Now, Paul, why didn't they foresee this?
Because that's not, they don't have the ability to think of that.
Well, they do. They have some ability to mitigate it. It's called advisors. It's called reading the law, reading the Constitution. It's called thinking about. We used to call it in psychological operations a murder board. All right. And what you have is you do all your due diligence on your product that you're going to put out. You do a target acquisition. You do a demographic studies, all that stuff. You get it all together, and then you put together this product. And you have to answer why that product's going to work. And everyone, basically everyone in the unit sits there, and they sharpshoot it. They tear it apart. They look at things, and they say, what if this, what if that, what is this, right? And you have to either mitigate it or explain it, and you have to be very articulate. And then maybe 1 in 100 of these products even makes it forward, all right? So what does the congressman simply get paid his wages or whatever, his what do you call it?
Salary?
His salary. Does he simply get paid his salary and then out of his pocket he's got to pay for a staff?
No, it all is funded up to a certain level.
Oh my God, yeah. So do you think he has on his staff a legal advisor? He'd be dumb not to. I would. Or at least have some law firm on retainer, you know, where I could say, hey, I'm proposing this law. What could go wrong? Now, not only that, while it's going through, while this bill, I put together a bill and they send it off to committee. Oh, yeah, they send it off to committee. Don't you think the committee members should be picking this apart and then changing the wording, right? And then making sure all the wording is perfect? Oh, dude, there's 2 spaces between a period and the next capital letter. No, that's not current, whatever. You know what I'm talking about? Where these guys should argue it out. And when this thing comes printed out, it should not have any fat fingers in it or anything. You should be able to, you should have answered all the what ifs, right? All the what ifs should be in there, right? Obamacare should have been the same thing, but we have to pass it to see what's in it. You know who's writing those up, Paul? It's not the congressman.
Lobbyists.
It's the lobbyists. And we're going to throw in a bill. Hey, George, over there at, over there at GM. We're throwing in this bill. Anything you want to throw in there to help you out? What are you calling it? We're calling it the rainbows and the rainbows and lollipops bill. Oh yeah, that shouldn't, that's where it's like, hey, it shouldn't even get up. But we're talking about lobbyists. We're talking about, oh no, we're not influencing these people through logic. We're not influencing these people because it's good for the country. Right?
We're talking about common sense, which they don't have.
Yeah, but they should do this, right? And I think the American people think that this is actually happening.
But it doesn't. It never does.
And there's no, so when it gets to the floor, most of that discussion should have been done, right? Most of that discussion should have already been debated in committee, right? And these committee members, are they sworn to secrecy? No. So when they go to their dinner parties and they're talking to their other Republicans or other Democrats or other independents or whatever, and they said, listen, we got this bill in committee here, and we kind of got these issues here. Do you think you could explain that, or what do you want to see in it and everything? But it's got to be clear. Yeah, they can do that, do they? Apparently not.
No, not at all.
So there's a thing in Robert's Rules of Order. I have a motion. There's a second motion. Is there any discussion, right? Now you discussion. That's the debate on the floor. Well, I want this thing changed. I want that thing changed. Okay, so strike this, change it to that. That happened with the Declaration of Independence. They were there like, strike this, add that, strike this, add that. How many people were responsible for writing up the Declaration of Independence? Initially.
I mean, quite a few.
Three.
Yeah.
It
was Jefferson.
Jefferson, Adams, and
Franklin, wasn't it?
Yeah, he was part of the Continental Congress, yeah. And they were responsible for writing this up, but it's all really attuned to Jefferson. Everyone says Jefferson, Jefferson, Jefferson. Now he comes in and he writes it up, and a very educated man, he was a very educated person, right? And he only got help from two guys, and then you bring it to the whole Continental Congress, and now everyone wants their little piece of the pie. Everyone wants to get in there. It could be kind of annoying, Hey, next time you do it. Here, you want to do it? You do it, right? But that's how it worked out. That's how we got the Declaration of Independence, signed by all 13 of the colonies, all right? No holdouts, because there was debate. There were changes made by educated people, right? Some of them, all right. So nowadays, it was coming back to this, is like all the debate that's already been done has already been done in the press. This bill isn't secret. It gets out there. It's going to be up for a vote. And they go, oh, what we talked about last week, the boogeyman, the filibuster. Oh, no. If they debate it, it'll never get passed because we'll never get the 60 votes to stop the debate. Oh, but it's already been debated in the press. Well, we're not even going to vote on it because, filibuster. I go, nah, make that guy stand up and make him stand up and debate. Make him stand up and talk. Make him do it. We'll sit here for years. Everything will stop while you talk to prevent this vote. The whole thing will stop to prevent this vote. Is it stopped? Is it stopped? Is it stopped because it won't pass? We talked about democracy, Paul, right?
Right.
Is it democracy 60% of the vote?
No.
51.
Come out that that's how the vote is.
50
but yeah.
plus 1.
Correct.
Right? That's a democracy. The filibuster is an attack on our democracy. It's an oppression of the majority by the minority. All right, so there's time, right, when you want to have a debate where like this, back then, you didn't have these committees sitting around and everything. There weren't a lot of these things coming through, right? But it goes to committee, should have been debated in committee. It's already been debated in the press. But someone wants to have their word on it. Okay, here's your 2 minutes. Here's your 5 minutes, whatever. That's what you have to debate, right? And if someone counter debates you, then you could get a response. Like debate works, right? Not I could stand up there and talk about it all I want forever, because you can't. Sooner or later, you're going to pass out. And then debate over. We're going to take a vote. You can't vote because you're passed out. So now we got a 49-50 vote because Mitch McConnell, right, is zombie Mitch, right? He's up there. And so this guy is unbelievable now. Just unbelievable. I thought Biden was bad, but obviously the Republicans said, here, hold our beer. We got a guy for you. This guy has got a glazed, smiled look. He is on unbelievable happy pills. Unbelievable happy pep pills. All right? He is being walked in by his hand like a small child. All right? Even Joe Biden can bounce off the walls until he got to the right place. No one was, maybe the Easter Bunny held his hand once, right? But Jill wasn't walking him up to everything and leaving him there, right? He can make it from 10 feet away to the podium. Mitch has got to be held by the hand and walked in. Look at him. Look at the glaze in his eyes. Who's making that decision? Is it Mitch? Mitch is non-compos mentis. I would like to give him a test. Hello, Mitch. What planet are you on? Zumba. Oh, very good, Mitch, right? All right. I'd like to do that. But you could see, everyone could see. Not everyone. Some people choose not to see. Some people are too simple to see. I'd say most people see, right? That guy holding his hand is the guy making the decisions. What is he waiting for? Ask me what he's waiting for, Paul.
What's he waiting for?
He's waiting for a payout. Some sort of payout, some sort of offer of a job. Not Mitch, but him. Mitch dies, guess what this guy is?
He's out of job.
Not only is he out of a job, he's persona non grata within his own community of Republicans and conservatives. So right now he's looking for the promise of a CEO job, if he's a lawyer, of a legal job. He's not even looking for a job. He's looking right now for a position. He's looking for somewhere where they could put him in there and he'll be set for life. All right. And there's other people in there. It's like an opportunity. That's what's sorry about this right now. That's what's sad about this. All right. So go. Give him this position. Say, hey, dude, yeah, I got this position for you. Yeah, we're going to sign a contract. And you have a little thing in the contract because he's not going to read it and he's not going to have good attorneys to read it for him, right? And the second, that's over with, you tell him, oh, this says we give you a stick of chewing gum and you walk away. Oh, I didn't read that part. Too bad. Stick it to the guy because he's sticking it to everyone. All right? This is on the vote for the how come I can't think of it? The SAVE Act. Okay, the SAVE Act. I was thinking, and the SAVE Act for something just, Mitch isn't going to vote there, right? Okay, Mitch isn't going to vote with us. Really, let's ask Mitch. Aside from all of his keepers, because you took former President Joe Biden away from his keepers. He had a problem with the truth. He usually told it. Keep him away take him off script. We have developed the most extensive voter fraud organization in the history of the United States. I'm like, whoa. Oh, he just misspoke. No, he didn't. No, he didn't. So here's the SAVE Act. And they're saying, we're not, the absolute laziness of Congress, right, with that. The absolute laziness of them. Oh, I don't want to put it up there. I don't want to put this up because, here, wordsmithing again. press media calls it when they don't want when they don't want the filibuster busted, they call it the nuclear option. You know what I call it, Paul? The democracy option.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I'm now going from 60% to 51%. What is 50 plus 1, Paul?
A majority.
Definition of democracy, right?
Yep.
The majority rule. All right? The majority rule right there. So wordsmith it on them, right? Go out there and say, oh, we're going to take the democracy option here. Why? You know, it's not the nuclear option. There's not nuclear. Here's what you could do immediately afterwards, all right? Now, now it's passed, right? Now it's passed and goes to the president. And I go, Mr. Speaker or Mr. Chairman, I motion that we make further bills of this sort debatable. Well, we have precedents already from the floor. I'll have to deny that option. Mr. Chairman, I move for an appeal to the floor. And then the floor gets up and votes it right back as debatable. Oh, oh, I didn't see that. How come I couldn't? You see me scratching my head if you're watching the YouTube thing. All right. You know, even Darth Microphone can see that you could do that. But that would be insincere. That would be gamesmanship. That would be playing the system. You mean they're not playing the system? Everyone in there plays the system. But that, again, that's wordsmithing. That's wordsmithing. And I want to see this. I was watching the press secretary. And when the one reporter said, no one's ever called President Trump a racist, she's like, are you kidding me? I'm going to have my people go through. We'll just let you there. All right? But here's this reporter spouting a lie because she's wordsmithing. She's psyoping the American people. Oh, why would she say it on national TV to the press secretary if it wasn't true? Because it wasn't true. Because she just wanted to be heard. And she thinks everyone that follows her is going to listen to what she says, even though she knows Paul, do you think she's possibly dumb enough to believe that in her heart?
The reporter?
Yeah.
No, but I think she's dumb enough in her pocketbook to repeat it. Because otherwise, if she doesn't toe the party line at the reporting station, she won't be having a job.
And she won't get invited to those cocktail parties, right?
Right.
Where, she just bought that nice cocktail dress and everything, and she wants to go in there and get some champagne.
Yeah.
Anyways, that's what. Okay, so why this? People say it's a uniparty system, and I kind of agree. Right? I kind of agree. It's the status quo of laziness. It was said once, you got a bunch of, like when I was overseas and I was in charge of something, and I got removed from my position temporarily because I'm a jerk. I was like, do your job. I come in, they're not doing their job. They haven't been doing their job before because no one was holding them accountable because they were all afraid of, oh, they won't like me. I could care less. Do your job. Lives depend on it. All right? I was removed, and all the people, not all the people were happy, but a couple of them were happy. Yay, I could watch cartoons all day. But they were, right? And then I got sent back. And when I got sent back, I had high cover. I had some high cover on me. And I'm like, you're fired, dude. You're next to be fired. I fired 2 of them, right? And when people saw that, I says, oh, they're going to hate me. But you know what? Most of the working people saw that, and they're like, it's about time. It's about time. Well, I think in Congress, these guys should go there. They should do that. That's why you have majority. That's why you should put the people, but they vote the people. Most of the people are voting to be lazy Call him out on it. Call him out on it. Oh, I'll debate this. Let's make it debatable. But before the Democrats go up and debate, I'm going to counter filibuster. And I'm going to tell them why they should vote on this and why they shouldn't debate it. And tell all my people. And then my old people get so tired of me calling them out that they'll go, Mr. Chairman, we want to make this a non-debatable issue. There you go. We need at least one psychotic person, psychotic for USA in Congress. Fixed Bayonets, comrades, we're back for the last quarter of the Chief Guard of the Republic radio show with your co-hosts Paul Burvitt and Mike Tooman every Saturday, noon until 2 on WRMN, 1410 AM. Listen to us on WRMN, 1410 channel on YouTube, or you could stream us live. Go to WRMN1410.com. Our regular listeners already know 847-931-1410 for the call-in number. I know Dennis and Larry do. And we have the 505-926-1410 for a text. So, okay, so I got to put a couple more plugs in. One is for my daughter's wrestling show, which is coming up this Friday, 8 p.m. at Magoo's over on 67, 60, the 63rd, 65th, like 66 something on Menard. Matt, I'll get Matt to put it up before our show shuts off. But hey, $20 to watch a wrestling show, be right up there. If you want to see what it's going to be like, if you want to get a preview of it, go to the Ultimate Combat Gauntlet channel on YouTube. That's Ultimate Combat Gauntlet, UCG. They have a YouTube channel. She hired a guy that does her YouTube videos. Guy's great. Gets fantastic angles, everything, great shots. She's got all the shows, doing it for over a year. It's not a one-off thing. This is the regular crew, professional wrestlers, good show. Magoo's went over to a new owner. I guess he's a leaser. I'm not sure. I don't think he bought the entire building, but he bought the Magoo's license and bar there. Ray is a great personal guy. If you're into darts, all right, he has a dart league over at Magoo's. They have pool league. They got pool tables there. All in all, it's a neighborhood dive bar on steroids. All right, he's got a comedy club because he had a lot of space there. So look it up, Magoo's, Bedford Park. All right, got the wrestling show coming up this Friday. I will be there. First responders, veterans, get you a 50% discount, $10. Come on, $10. That's 2 beers. Oh yeah, the buckets are cheap there. Children-friendly show because I told the professional wrestlers if they were rude in front of the children, I was going to end them. And I'm the guy that works security at the door. So yeah, they're good guys. They're all good guys and good girls. Women's wrestling too. A good time, good show. All right, right up on the ring. Right up on the ring. You're not going to get there anywhere else. And we got a movie night over at the American Legion on 4501 25th. The doors will open tonight at like 6, and we'll start. Well, do they open at 5? I think 5. We open the doors. We have a couple pre-shows. We usually watch an episode of Combat, and then we go into the movie. And the movie tonight is going to be They Were Expendable. So you get John Wayne and
Robert Montgomery. And Donna Reed.
Yeah, it's a good movie. Good movie, but you're not going to see that up on the big screen anymore, are you, Paul?
No.
We got like a 10-foot screen with surround sound, all right? And it's a bring your own snacks place, right? 5, we let people in, but we strongly suggest you buy a $5 in our progressive 50/50, which is up to over $100 now. So most people do the Queen of Hearts, right? Or if you pull the Queen of Hearts, yay, you win. So what it is, you buy a ticket, you buy a $5 ticket, then we draw. If you get the number, if your ticket is drawn, then you get a chance to draw the card. But we throw in 2 extra cards, the little joker and the big joker. So we got the big joker, all right, Progressive. So if you draw the big joker, you get half of the Progressive, and the other half goes to support the American Legion Post 104 of Schiller Park. Check out our webpage, post104.org, POST104.org. And we like supporting the schools. We'll go in a couple times a year to talk to the kids about what Americanism and what it's like to be a veteran. All right, so I'm losing my choo-choo train of thought. We started talking about trains, and then mine derailed right during the break here. I've been talking about how. All right, so Paul, what's the best way to get away with breaking the law?
Don't break it.
That's one way, yeah. Well, let's say you really want to break the law. Let's say you're already breaking the law, but
Well, you're talking about putting the fix in with the judge and everything?
oh, that's complicated. Too many
Okay.
loose ends. What if the judge gets picked up by the FBI? He's going to squeal. He's going to point right at you. The best way is to make it legal.
Okay.
All right? So here's the thing. The Supreme Court has just said, well, Trump can't do this because when Congress passed the law, it was too vague. So Trump is using that vagueness to get away with it, right? President Trump.
Right.
And he's using a tool that was given him. Hey. So now, rather than trying to litigate, what the Supreme Court has just told Congress to do what? They didn't say it directly, but you can infer stuff, right? I am a detective. I have to infer information. An intelligence professional. I have to infer. I get a lot of information comes out, and I got to infer other information from that. I have to be like Monk. I have to be like Sherlock Holmes. I have to be like a very focused person, right? And what it says to me is Congress has got to pass a law now that makes this very, not arbitrary. Not arbitrary. All right? So where is the congressman going to show up Monday morning? Are they in session? Shows up when they're in session on the Republican side saying, you remember that law we have? Well, I've got an amendment to that law that's going to make it very specific. Think that's going to happen?
No.
Because they're lazy.
Well, they don't want to be involved in this because
Why?
they're looking at the midterms, and they're looking at they're desperate because as time goes on, the Republicans have a very dwindling majority, and they're not going to do anything that they think is going to.
You know why they have a dwindling majority, Paul?
Because they're not doing their job.
No, because everyone says that America votes for the underdog. That's not what Patton said. You know what America loves? America loves to be on the winning side. The tough guys.
Right.
The big tough guys. Right. Your average conservative guy doesn't care about the little guy, really. He wants to be the big tough guy on the winning side. And the Republicans have constantly shown that they're the milquetoast kicked puppies of politics. And the Democrats, as psycho as they are, right, with going after their far base, have always stood tough, had always slung the most garbage, lifted the heavy weights of yellow journalism and everything, and thrown it all at them, and nothing ever bounces back on them. They never throw it back. They're like, oh, well, we're innocent of that. We're not even going to respond to it. I mean, you never see. When was the last time a Republican said those are fighting words? And went down to the guy on the podium where the guy's taking his time, on his microphone, and has his 2 minutes, and the Republican has come by with his cane and started bashing him on the head. That's quite a few, maybe 200 years ago, right? Where they're doing that, right? Because they had, it's like, hey, oh no, we're not going to respond to that. Respond to it. The reason they're losing or they're shrinking because you had one strong guy come up and he was running and they coattailed him because you throw a punch, he throws two back, right? You throw a punch, he takes the hit square in the face and then slams you twice, right? Usually knocks you out. So someone else comes up, and everyone loved that. So they ride on his coattails. Oh, I'm pro-Trump this, pro-Trump that. And then they get elected in and they're like, well, not really. We're not really. I like my paycheck. I got this whole staff here. And I like going to the good, parties because I get the expensive scotch, That's why. It's not by policy. It's because they are deemed to look like milquetoast. Even when you elect someone in that looks tough like Bill Barr, right? And then he wasn't elected in, right? He was assigned as the attorney general. He was appointed as attorney general. And he looks the part. He looks all big and tough, blithering, and he was the worst, right? The worst. He had the looks, but everyone could tell after a while, after what he did was milquetoast, So that is why they're losing support. Because you want tough leadership. And the only thing you got to say is that when you're crazy, you don't care if you take a punch to the face. I've been in fights with really crazy people. Really people off the rocker. And, they don't care. They don't care. You got to put them down quick. They just don't care. They just don't feel the pain. And that's the thing here. They need to deal with that better. And get in there. Make them vote. Like I said, make them. If you sit there and say, well, they'll just pull the nuclear option. Well, you're playing their game because you're using their words. You say, listen, we're going to bring it up to vote or we'll use the democracy option. You use the democracy option. And then if one person in your party doesn't vote along with you for the democracy option, like Zombie Mitch, right? Happy Zombie Mitch. What's a good word? Happy Pill Mitch. Just call him Happy Pill Mitch now, right? If you get one guy like that, you end him. You don't end him physically, because he's on his way out already. But no more parties for you, no more this, no more that. We're not going to support any candidate in Kentucky. Anyone associated with you doesn't get a dime from the RNC because you didn't circle the wagons when we needed you to. But they don't do that. He's still going to get money from the RNC. Or his chosen successor is still going to get money from he's running, isn't he?
I think he is.
He's still running. Right? He's still running. Don't give him a dime. Not one dime. All right. So I'll let you talk some, Paul. We got a caller in. I'm getting feedback. Oh, you got to shut off your radio or turn it down all the way.
I did.
Okay. Who we got here?
Patrick.
Hey, Patrick. What's up?
Hey, I'm calling to ask Paul a question.
Okay.
Because Paul, he's in charge of the CCW license and the Ford cards and all that. And so my question
to training.
Oh, okay. So my question is this. I'm not allowed to have a Ford card. So because 30 years ago, I had a conviction. So nowadays,
yeah, we talked you called up once before. I remember talking to you.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yes, sir. I appreciate you taking the time to answer my questions. So nowadays, I just saw this on the news, on the advertisement, so I'm talking about strictly for my house. Well, can I legally have one of those? They got these things with the CO2 with pepper spray ball.
You're talking like a Berna gun?
Yeah, the Berna gun.
Yeah, but it takes CO2 with pepper ball.
Yeah, that's what a Berna gun is. It's CO2 and it uses a pepper ball. Okay, there's other manufacturers of stuff like that. Okay, but as far as I know, you could keep something like that in your house. I don't even think there's a restriction on you even carrying mace or anything like that. But
In the city of Chicago, there is.
Yeah, but I don't think he lives in Chicago.
No.
I think the thing that you should look at, if I mean, that burn a gun. I've heard things both for it, against it, and things like that. There's also a way to use paintball guns. It's the whatever the round is. But if you're going to use something like that, you want to get like a pepper spray with a gel component. Okay, because if you use pepper spray and it creates a cloud of gas, the gel component makes it stick to the surface, and there's usually a dye in there.
The foam, pepper spray foam, pepper spray foam. It's the best.
Right. That with a dye component. Okay, that's what you want.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
What you want for home defense is a large dog that is loyal to you.
A large dog is always best.
I totally understand that, but the dog's a lot of work, and I'm against dogs in the house because they smell. They got to use the bath. You got to wash them.
Yeah, it is. You know what? It is work. All right. It is work.
Yeah.
All right. You got to put something into it. It's not a free defense system. All right.
Yeah.
But all right.
But
You got to be all right. So pepper spray is dangerous because in an enclosed environment such as your house, now pepper foam probably a little better. Depending on which way the wind is blowing, it might take you out just as long as it takes him out. We used to do that. We were in Haiti, and we had the fans going to just get a little breeze, and we'd see some guy walking into the room and put a little spray into that fan, and he'd catch it right in the face. It was hilarious. It's things the GIs did to each other. It was funny. But we used the pepper spray. We have the big ones, right? The big, like...
military type.
Yeah, well, military size. They're like fire extinguishers. All right? We just juice everyone. All right, but here's the thing. You don't want to be juiced. You don't want to be incapacitated. All right?
Exactly.
You know what I noticed though in the store, and you might want to think about this too. They're starting to sell bear spray.
That's 15%.
I've started to see this at Meijer and a couple other places where they're selling bear spray. That's another possibility, because if you watch the guys on ice and stuff like that, it appears like they're using a similar type of a product, like a bear spray. So that's another thing. They're more of a full size thing. But as Mike says, you're probably going to get sprayed yourself with it too. So.
Be ready.
Okay.
Be ready.
Yeah.
I've been maced on the street several times. Here's the thing, though. All right. Even though I was maced straight in the face with that stuff, I had military training. So yes, my lungs were a little bit burning, my nose was burning, and my eyeballs were watering. But my military training taught me not to go to my face, not to rub it in anymore. I could see you, but it's blurry. Now I'm very angry. Very, very angry. All right. And hey. I fight better when I'm really angry.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
So here's the thing. That's not a panacea. Panacea. All right.
Yeah.
Best thing, home security, good solid door, good solid locks that you lock. Well-lighted hallways, well-lighted house. All right. Don't advertise that you have expensive stuff that people want to come in and rob. All right.
Yeah.
If you have something, realize that that's going to be a last resort. Also realize that it may not work. Having one of those guns, and I've heard of them advertised on other radio stations, right? By some other supposedly conservative talk show hosts, right?
Yeah.
But yes, it's legal. I wouldn't want to rely on it. It's cool. Oh, I've got a quote gun that's less than lethal, only less than lethal. You pop a guy in the eyeball in that and you kill him. Have you ever been shot bare skinned by a paintball gun?
Yeah, I've been paintballing. I took one in the neck one time.
Does it hurt?
Oh, yes, sir.
What if you took it in the eyeball? Could it knock out your eyeball?
You lose an eye. If you don't have safety glasses on, you lose
Okay,
an eye.
see? So it may or may not be less than lethal. So they always say,
Some people use paintball guns with a hard rubber.
yeah. What if you
thing,
put marbles in there?
Yeah, well,
you can do that.
Or ball bearings?
The old 1930s
I shouldn't even talk
movies
about
with the
that.
kids, they use onion juice and a little squirt gun works in the eyes too.
Hey, you know what else? You know what else? Super soaker filled with vinegar and Tabasco. So take a bottle of Tabasco, mix it with some vinegar, pump it into the super soaker. There you go. All right, so
Nice.
I didn't say that. Wait, again. Again. That is just something that could possibly be done out there. But I'm going to say right now, unless you're willing to kill a person, don't carry a gun.
I agree 100%. Guns
Unless you're absolutely positive that the person coming into your house is going to be stopped by pepper spray, all right, I would get out of there, call the police, do whatever, all right? Unless you're absolutely positive that you could take that guy in a fight, I wouldn't fight with them. Your house is filled with weapons, all right? Unless you could beat them with the weapon, don't do it. Put yourself in a protected area, barricade yourself in if you have to, if you can't get out the back door, all right? Call 911, run to the police station, run to neighbors, keep running, right? I don't know where you live. Your best option in that situation is, one, not to get into the situation. Two, all right, if you can't do any of the things I said, don't do them. Get out of there for your own protection. How to protect your house. They're going to hit soft targets. They're not going to hit hard targets. Put up a camera. Put up fake cameras. All right? Have it well lit. All right? Have it well lit. Put up solid doors, solid windows. You got to bar the windows if you don't live on the first floor. Two, be nice to the police. When they will come by your house, wave at them. Maybe they're stopped there, talk to them, chit-chat a little bit. So they like coming by your house. They like coming by your area. So people see that. We had Dunkin' Donuts, not in the same Dunkin' Donuts we talked about on the south side, that the owner decided that he wasn't going to give us free coffee on the midnights anymore. We stopped going there. He got robbed 3 times in a week.
Oh, wow.
They saw that we weren't going there anymore, and they started robbing the place. Right? So they see these things. If you are a hard target, they're going to move on to a softer target. Right? So, yes, the guns are kind of legal. They're kind of cool, you know, if you want to play cowboys and Indians out there or whatever. But keep your head on a swivel. Be aware of your environment. All right? Protect yourself. Have good walls, you know, good solid walls, good solid fences, right? Have a clear line of communication to authorities. Have good relations with your neighbors that'll keep an eye on you too. And if you can't win in a fight, you know, and if you're not willing to kill a person, get out of there.
Yeah.
Does that seem reasonable?
Seems very reasonable. Good conversation. Thank you, guys.
All right,
Thanks, Pat.
Take care.
So we're coming up on the end, sadly enough. So next week we'll be in. Maybe we'll talk about the UN in the United States next week.
Sounds good.
But
remember the Alamo.
Yeah. Remember the Alamo. Marty Robbins song too. Two movies. I think the John Wayne movie was better.
I like that one too.
You know, he dies there, you know.
As most of them do.
No, most of the John Wayne movies he lives.
Well, remember he got shot by Bruce Dern and the Cowboys, and forever people were saying you're the guy that killed John Wayne.
Yeah. Well, okay, so John Wayne gets killed in 4 movies that I know of. The Alamo, all right, the Cowboys, the Sands of Iwo Jima, and the man that shot Liberty Valance.
Yep.
In the beginning of the movie, he's dead. I don't think anyone killed him, but in the beginning of the movie, he's actually dead.
Right.
All right. See you next week. Thanks, Paul.
Have a good week. Bye, everybody.